Okay, so this video is going to be a real shit show. Hello and welcome to my channel. My name is Emma Cownley. I'm a freelance copywriter and blogger, and today I'm coming to you from the coronavirus quarantine. I pre-film a lot of my videos, so much of the content that you will have seen over the past couple of weeks was recorded long before any of this shit kicked off, and this is basically my first video filming under quarantine circumstances. So I don't have my usual setup that I would normally have for a video, just because my husband now works in this room with me, so we've kind of pulled everything out, rearranged everything, and basically every time I film a video I have to move my drum kit, move all the chairs, set up the lights, set up the camera. It's a whole ordeal. And basically,
ain't nobody got time for that.
As I record this with my husband only in the other room, probably listening and cringing his absolute face off. So let's get down to it. Today's video is about how to pitch for clients confidently when you are an introvert. Even though I make these videos here on YouTube and I have quite a loud appearance and quite a fun tone of voice in all of my stuff that I write and how I speak and stuff, I'm actually not very extroverted at all. I will do it when I have to, but for the most part I really just prefer not to be in social situations or in big crowds. You know, one-on-one is when you get me at my best. I really hate it. Anytime I have to stand up for myself, hate it. Anytime that I'm put on the spot or kind of have to take the role as an expert in a meeting, fucking hate it. Doesn't matter that I've been doing this job for 9 years, doesn't matter that I've worked with huge brands, doesn't matter that I've achieved great things in my career. When it comes down to it, I still feel like I'm an imposter syndrome sufferer. And I know that a great many of my writing contemporaries and colleagues in the freelance industry and otherwise also feel this way. So I thought I would go through some steps of how you can pitch as an introvert so that you appear confident and don't give yourself away as somebody who doesn't necessarily feel very confident on the inside. So the first tip I'm going to give you is to be clear and concise. For many of us, we like to use kind of word padding to soften our approach and just fluff it up a little bit and not seem so harsh or competitive or aggressive when we're writing emails and writing pitches or getting onto those calls. We're kind of using hesitant language like, I just wanted to email you, I thought I might be a good fit, maybe this is something you'll be interested in, I'm not really an expert in this field, but I wanted to reach out anyway. You don't want to be saying any of that shit. You want to be coming in very clear, very concise, cutting to the chase straight away and eliminating any of those hesitant words which make you appear as though you're not sure of yourself or you're not an expert at what you do. I've done a whole video on this, and I think also there's a blog post floating around somewhere as well. I'll link it for you above and pop it in the description below so that you can go away and really get into that. But essentially, when you've finished writing a pitch email, leave it for a couple of minutes, maybe like 5-10 minutes, go back to it again, comb through and look for any of those words: might, think, just, maybe, anything that doesn't have you coming in saying, I am an expert in this field, I have done X, Y, and Z, it would be great to work with you, I'd be a great fit for this. It should be pretty easy to spot when you know what you're looking for, so do go away and give that video a little watch just so that you know what to look out for, and hopefully over time you can train yourself out of any of that language. It's a good little hack just to make sure that you're not underselling yourself or coming across as hesitant, because all of these little things are subconscious signs and red flags to potential clients that show that you might not be as confident as you're pretending to be. My next tip is that you need to be hyper relevant when you're making these pitches. So again, like with the previous point, you don't want to come in and say, oh, I'd really love to give this a try. yeah, I think I could do this. Yeah, I think I'm what you're looking for. You want to go in and say, I've had experience in this exact area. Here are all the pieces in my portfolio which demonstrate exactly what you've said you're looking for in the job description or in the LinkedIn post or whatever. I'm an exact expert in this exact niche, and that's why I'm the strongest candidate for you. So you need to be really direct and really relevant, pitching yourself as an expert rather than saying, oh, I think I might. No, you do. You definitely do. Next point is particularly important. I can't tell you how many times I've broken this rule myself and regretted it massively. And that is to make sure that you are protecting your boundaries, both personal and professional. Don't just say yes because you don't like conflict. You have to start learning to say no and start pushing back. When you allow a client to maybe haggle your rates down or maybe talk you into doing some scope creep for free, whatever you permit, you promote. So every time you do something like this, you're telling that client you're a walkover. It's okay. It's fine for them to undervalue you or mug you off or get work for free, and it's really not fine. Whenever I'm in these situations, I have to switch into my professional alter ego, the girl that is not afraid to turn around and say, I don't do sample work for free. No, I'm not lowering my rates. This is what the rate is. And if you want somebody cheaper, maybe I can make some recommendations, but that writer is not me. Or, giving them a writer's agreement before you get started with the exact scope of the job in it. And if they come in, say, that's fine, I can do that for you. It's not within the scope, so I will have to quote you an additional fee for that work. And if they don't like it, then that's fine. But every time you allow yourself to be taken advantage of this, you are basically promoting within yourself that you're not quite good enough or that you're not confident. And really, when you're in these negotiations or in these talks or in these situations, you have to start kind of reframing yourself as a separate person. You are the professional version of yourself. So it's not you. That's how I like to do it anyway. Next step is to prep yourself for calls. I don't know about you, but I fucking hate client calls. I get so nervous. Even if I've been working with the client for years, I still get nervous. I hate calls full stop. I hate it when anyone phones me. So prospecting calls and kind of chemistry calls really make me nervous. So the idea here is that you go in with a firm list of exactly what you think you need to get the job done, exactly what's required from them, exactly what you're happy to permit and happy to work on and do, and what you're not, and make sure that you've just done all of your research so that you can go in feeling confident that you have everything you need. So, because I think for me, one of the main fears that I have is that something's going to come out of left field and I'm going to look like a moron because I won't know how to answer it. So the more prep you do, the better. You get on that call, and then when they say, would you be happy to do this? You can say, yeah, that's absolutely fine, knowing confidently that you can, or what you might need from them. And then you can already identify if there's going to be a problem later on when you're saying, I'm going to need this information to get the job done, 50% up front, and have you sign this agreement to protect both of us? And then they start saying, oh, I don't know about that. None of our other writers need an agreement. Yeah, well then that's their problem, isn't it? Because I need an agreement, and if you're not happy to do that, then I'm afraid this job is not for me, because this is just standard. You're approaching this as a business person. You're not a dick, you're not a moron because you're asking for these things. You are a professional business person, and this is how it is done. Just say, I'm sorry, but this is how it's done. This is how I do it. And if you want to work with me, this is how we will do it. Because I'm amazing and I'm worth it. I have a freelance alter ego. She doesn't have a name. Maybe that's something to think about. But by using that freelance alter ego, I'm able to create some distance between who I feel I am as a person and who I am as a business person. So for example, real life Emma might be in a restaurant and have a dirty fork and would rather die 1,000 times than ask the waiter or waitress for a clean fork. But professional Emma can ask the hard questions, you know? Can I have a clean fork? The difference that I make here is that when I am talking to someone as a business, there's a certain degree of professionalism that's expected from me, a certain degree of knowledge, and I'm expected to have boundaries, processes, and basically whenever I go back on that and allow myself to be a bit more timid or a bit more shy or permit things that I would allow in my personal life, I end up fucking my business and thereby fucking myself, but also ruining my own reputation as a business and a business person, because I look like a mug, I look like I'm not sure, I look like I don't trust myself or my abilities, and I look like I'm going to be a pushover. So it always comes back on you at the end of the day. When you allow that lower rate or that scope creep, you end up doing the work. You're the one that reaps the consequences, and you're the one that doesn't make a good living out of it at the end of the day. So I mean, that's what stops me from allowing it. I think, no, I'm a business person. So when I come in all ballsy and I cold pitch someone and I'm like, hey, I love your style. I think that we'd be great together. Here's a list of all the things that I do that I think you need specifically. And all of the other times in my portfolio that I've done this exact thing. Here are my rates. Call me. The amount of times I slid into someone's DMs on social or just into the inbox like, hey, and it does pay off. That's not me at all. But this is me as a business, and as a business person, I want to do well. I want to have really great high paying clients and work on really dope shit, and the only way to do that is to be this person. I'm going to call her Anastasia. Anastasia. Powerful. And it allows you to create kind of an armor that makes you feel safe, because it is just business, it is not personal. And then at the end of the day, I can shed that skin and go back to being a weak-spined, introverted pushover. So to break it down, you need to be mindful about the language that you're using when you're talking about yourself and your abilities and the value that you bring to the business, by eradicating any hesitant or passive language from your pitches and your emails, and just being aware about negative self-talk and sounding maybe not as confident as you are. You need to be protecting your boundaries and have a very firm idea of what you're willing to permit and what you're not willing to permit, and what you need in order to get the job done. And if you don't get that, shit's not getting done. That's it, drawing a hard line on the situation. You need to position yourself as an expert, be clear, direct and relevant when you're making a pitch. Eradicate all of that fluff and just come in as the exact expert for that exact job, just clearly stating the value that you can bring. And it's not bragging, because it's business. And make sure you're prepped for calls so that you don't feel shy and nervous. And one thing that I like to think about is that you're interviewing them just as much as they're interviewing you, right? So I mean, you might consider that they aren't a good fit for the job. So it's not just you being assessed, it's you assessing them as well. It's a mutual kind of situation. And that always makes me feel like I have just a little bit more power in the situation. And I'm kind of, when I've done my research and all of my homework before I go on these calls, I have a really good feel for them and I know if it's going to work or not. So maybe go away, work on your freelance alter ego, creating some distance between your personal and your professional self before you do these pitches. And I will leave a ton of extra resources for you below, things that you can go away and read up on: hesitant language, client call preparation, protecting your boundaries, and just really slaying it like an absolute badass. Because as I say, at the end of the day, I'm not a crazy, confident, sassy girl. And so these are all the tricks that I do when I have to make it look like I'm just the fucking bitch, basically. When I need to go in and look like a bad bitch so I can get the job, this is exactly everything I do. So I hope you found this video useful. It's a bit of a weird one, and I feel like massively uncomfortable filming this right now in this room in this kind of way. What did you think? Is it all right? I don't know. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up and do subscribe to my channel, because it really, really helps me out when you do that. Maybe even share this video with your friends, with the introverted friends. And if you have any tips on what you like to do to bring yourself out of your shell when you're pitching for jobs and meeting with clients, then leave it in the comments below, or let me know. Find me on Twitter at EJ I'd love to hear your little tips and tricks and tactics. This is just what I like to do. And until then, I'll see you back here, same time, same place, in 2 weeks for more Kiss My A's, when hopefully it will be slightly less loud and slightly less awkward. Take care. Peace out.